Hi there, everybody. My name is Roz from Siyavula Education, and I'm here to talk to you today about using Siyavula effectively for exam prep. To start us off, I'm just going to talk to you, we're going to talk about effective study techniques in general. Okay, so research has shown that certain ways of studying are more effective than others for exams. So I think you guys will recognize a lot of these study techniques. We have reading and highlighting, very nice and easy to do. Summarizing, which is you're making notes of important concepts, maybe things you need to memorize. Explaining, so that means explaining ideas either just out loud, you can even do it to yourself, just talking through an idea, or talking to friends. Study groups are a really good way to do that. So we're getting to more effective techniques from up to explaining. Then a quite effective technique is distributed practice, which means you're practicing as you go along in a spaced way, so not cramming everything. And finally, once you've done all of those parts, past paper practice has been shown to be very effective for improving your results. So while all of these study techniques have a part to play, past paper practice and distributed practice are very effective, and that's where you should be spending a lot of your time. Okay, so how does Siyavula exam prep fit in with this? What is it and how does it fit in? I think most of you guys know about Siyavula, but exam prep specifically, we've taken the national grade 11 and 12 exams and converted them to an online format. Which means each question has a detailed explanation. It's not just a memo. So you can actually learn from the answers. It also means that each question can be done many times because they change slightly while assessing the same concept. So this means you have as many exam papers as you want. You will never run out of exam papers to do. Also really important to note is you don't need a smartphone. Just to remind you guys to do Siyavula, you can do it on any device with internet access. And also crucially, just to remind you that it doesn't take any of your precious data. Using Siyavula is 0 rated if you're with Vodacom or MTN, so you can practice your exams without having to pay expensive data costs. Okay, so just thinking about when you're preparing for exams, what you need to do, and where does Siyavula exam prep fit in. So what you should be doing is taking each topic that you have to study for and start off by doing those first study phases or techniques, which is reading, summarizing, and explaining, making yourself some notes. While you're doing that for each topic, you should be practicing a few questions from your textbook in a spaced way to make sure that you can apply what you summarized. Okay, so as you're taking your notes for each section, you do a little bit of practice as you go along, so it's not all left to the end. And then once you've done that for a whole topic, then you start your Siyavula exam prep. So you have to prepare. You can't just only use Siyavula exam prep to get ready for exams, but it fits in after you've done your basic, the first phases of your study cycle, your distributed practice, and then you're ready for exam prep for that topic. So let's have a look at how Siyavula exam prep actually works and what you should be doing to get the most out of your exam prep. So basically, again, just to say again, you have to do exam prep after you've done some revision. Because it is still exam level questions, even though you are learning from them, you need to be a bit prepared. Then you need to read the solutions really carefully. So the point of Siyavula exam prep is to learn as you are doing the past papers and not just do them over and over. So you must read your solutions carefully. Try again if you made a mistake. If you use Siyavula a lot, you'll know what I mean, but we'll see that just now. And then use the exam dashboard to track your progress. All of that is really important. So let's have a look at how these 4 aspects play out in practice or on Siyavula. Okay, so the first thing you need to do to get to Siyavula, you could see the link there or the address on the other screen. is to go to this exact address, https://siyavula.com, to make sure you're getting the free data. So I'm going to go there, not just siyavula.com, because sometimes you don't get the free data there. Oh my goodness, why did that not work? Okay, let's try it again. This happens sometimes. https, I think I didn't put the colon, //siyavula.com, just to make really sure that I went to the right place. Okay, cool. Then you go to log in. You should all have accounts already. So my account, I'm going to go, because remember I'm Roz from Siyavula. I have a special account for this session. Okay, and let's say I haven't logged in for a while. So maybe my password is Roz1234. Oh, nope. Okay, it didn't work. So this happens. Sometimes you forget your password. What you need to do when you've forgotten your password is go to the forgot your password link. Okay, don't create a new account, because that won't be linked to your group and won't have the right access. So you need to say you forgot your password, and then in here, type your email address again, whatever that was, and say submit, and then it will send you a one-time PIN so that you can get access to your account again. But you have to have access to that email or that contact detail that you signed in with over here. So if you don't have that, you need to talk to your tutors about getting access, because they can also help you reset your password. Okay, I'm not actually going to do that because I know my password. So I'm just going to log in, which hopefully you can do too. Okay, awesome. So because we're focusing on exams, they're coming up really soon, we're going to go to exam prep, and I'm going to show you something from grade 11, but you can choose maths grade 11, grade 12, science grade 11, and grade 12. So I'm going to go to grade 11 maths. Okay, so we can see here we have grade 11 maths paper 1 and grade 11 maths paper 2. Let's say, remember our phases, I should have revised the topic before I do exam prep. So I have done my revision on algebra and equations, and I want to look at a question on that. Okay. So the idea with exam prep is you get a question that's actually coming from the actual exam, and then we're just going to see a little bit more about what that means. So hopefully you guys can recognize this, because we've done our revision on algebra and equations before starting the exam prep. So we need to solve for g in the inequality, too small pen, g squared minus 3g plus 2 is less than or equal to 0. Okay, so hopefully because we have done our revision, we know that this is a quadratic inequality, so the first step is to get it into standard form, which it already is. Every algebra on the left, number on the right, and then we need to factorize. So we're going to have our 2 brackets. Okay, and that's a plus sign, so both the signs are the same, both are negative. Factors of 2 that get us to 3 or negative 3, so it's going to be minus 2 and minus 1. But now let's say I can't quite remember. I did study, but I can't remember everything. So I can't really remember this part. I'm just going to say g less than or equal to 2, g less than or equal to 1, maybe. I'm not sure. So now I go and look at my options here on Siyavula, because sometimes there are different ways we have to put in our answers on Siyavula to make things, because some things are hard to type. So I don't actually see the answer that I wanted, but I'm not really sure. Let's just say this one, I'm not sure. Okay, darn. So we got that one wrong. So now we need to go onto the really important part of using exam prep, which is reading the solutions carefully, because that's going to help us. So the next time we do this question, we can actually get it right. Okay, so we can see the first bit is telling us to factorize, which we did. Okay, that's awesome. But now it says, we just jumped straight to something like an answer. But now it says, actually, we must just find the roots first. So let's, okay, so that wasn't correct. So actually we need to find the roots, and I remember that. Some teachers might call it critical values. So that's where you set your factors equal to 0. So we have g equals 2 or g equals 1. Okay, so we found our roots. Now what do we do with that? Okay, let's see. It says once we have the roots, we have to find the coefficient of the quadratic. Okay, because the shape of the parabola. Okay, so this is explaining to me that once we've got the roots, then we can put them on a number line. Okay, and they must be in order from the smallest to the biggest, not in the order that I found them. So it'll be 1 is smaller than 2 on a number line. Then it says look at the coefficient of the quadratic. So here's the quadratic. The coefficient of the quadratic term is actually 1. So it's positive. Hopefully you remember that parabolas have, if they have a positive coefficient, then they are happy, and a negative coefficient, they are sad. So this will be an upward sloping, like a smiley face, this is a sad face, upward sloping parabola. So we can sketch that on our picture. Well, not very well. I think you guys know what I mean there. So we've got our quadratic, and now the question is saying, where is that? Let's just look at that again. Where is that less than or equal to 0? Below the x-axis, it's less than 0. Above, it's greater than 0. So it's actually this part. So it's between 1 and 2. And it's less than or equal to, so it's included. So it's between 1 and 2. Okay, so that's what it says. All of that is explained there. We have the diagram as well, showing where the graph is negative. So now we've read our solution carefully and hopefully learned something. We can ask someone else for help as well if we need to talk about it. But now we're done reading the solution carefully. Now we don't just move on to the next thing, because that's the whole point of exam prep, and what's really powerful about it is that straight away you can try again and apply your newfound skills. So that's what we're going to do. So we're not going to go to the next. We're going to try that same exercise again and apply our skills. Okay, so hopefully now we're going to do the same thing, but we've learned some things. I just wanted to point out this question. If we look at it, we can see it's the same idea. It's a quadratic inequality, but the numbers are different, and the answer is going to be different. So you can apply your newfound skills and really see that effort pay off. So we have our g squared plus 6g plus 8 is less than 0. Factorize it again. It's going to be plus and plus. And factors of 8 that add up to 6 going to give us 4 and 2. Now this time we remember we're looking at for critical values or roots. Set each factor equal to 0. Okay, then the next part that we learned was about the number line. We put our smaller number on the left, which is actually -4, smaller than -2. We look at our coefficient. Is it positive or negative? It's still 1, so it's a happy parabola. Put that there, happy parabola. And then the question is, where is this parabola strictly less than 0? So actually this one again, it's between the two numbers. Some of the questions will be on the outside of the numbers. So our answer will be between -4 and -2. So hopefully it's on the list. There we go. I panicked for a second there. I thought it wasn't there, but here it is. And let's have a look. Okay, awesome. We've got skills. Okay, so we can see there that we managed to improve. We learned from what happened. And now, of course, you're welcome to try the exercise again. But because we got it right this time and we really feel like we learned from what happened, what you should do next, we're not going to do it together now, but what you should do next is say go to the next exercise. Because if you look over here, so part of exam prep, when we make the exam into an online format, we break it up. It gets broken up in certain ways. So we have here question 1 of the whole exam. So this was the first question of the exam, is broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts, and we finished the first part. Okay, so we still have quite a way to go. I'll just show you the next one. So that was the next question in the exam, and you would continue from there. We're not going to continue with algebra and equations. We're going to go to the next part. So let's say you finished all of this to the end. Then one of the other parts of using Siyavula exam prep effectively is tracking your progress. So we are going to go back to the dashboard, and I've done some work in another paper before now, so we can actually see how we're doing. So we've studied our algebra and equations. We see in this exam there were 3 questions that were based around algebra and equations, and now we can see how we did. So it's important to remember you're not actually trying to get 100% for all the questions, because that would take probably a really long time and maybe not the best use. You can't study everything, maybe, if that's your goal. So set a realistic goal, maybe 65% for you, maybe it is 100%, I don't know, but set a realistic goal and then have a look. Question 1, getting 66%, so that's pretty good. Question 2 have been amazing, 92%. And then the last one, question 10, it's a little bit harder, problem-solving question at the end. We're struggling with that. Maybe we want to do that a few more times. So that's another benefit of Siyavula exam prep, or a good way to use it, is to see exactly where you're struggling and to keep working on that. It's a nice way to practice those challenging and problem-solving questions that come at the end of a paper, so you can do them again and actually start to master them. Okay, so you keep an eye on your progress and just work up to a level that you are aiming for. So we're going to do one more of these so that we can see this exam prep process again one more time, but with a different topic this time, of Euclidean geometry, which I know a lot of people find a bit tricky. So, but it's also one of the places that Siyavula exam prep can really, really help you, because of seeing that same kind of question but in a different way and really starting to master things. So let us go to a Euclidean geometry question. So here we can see again the grade 11 paper 2 topics. In this paper, this is the order that the questions came in and what was in them. You can see if I haven't started any questions yet, then I don't have a date of last practice, and I don't have a mark yet. Okay, so it's only when you start working on it, then it's going to start to fill in. So let's give this one a go. Okay, so we have grade 11 Euclidean geometry. We know this is all about the circles and the angles. And remember, so let's have a look at what we should be doing. We should be doing this after having revised. So you should already have your summaries and your notes for Euclidean geometry. This would include your theorems. So you know those theorems, and you have to put some work into learning and memorizing them. But while you're doing Siyavula practice, feel free to have them with you. You can consult them. It's not an official test. It is a learning process. You can have your notes with you, but you do need those notes done. Okay, so let's see what this says. So in the diagram, O is the center of the circle, diameter FH. Okay, so diameter goes through the center, FH subtends FEH at the circumference. Okay, so we have a diameter subtending an angle there of the circle. And then G is another point on the circumference, and chords FG, and EG are drawn such that EG intersects FH at O, and G equals 44. Phew. Okay, the thing about geometry, this bit at the top called the blurb is really important, and you need to read it carefully, but also don't let it overwhelm you with the information, because sometimes it's just writing things that are in the diagram and it's just saying there's a line here and a line there and they cut each other. So read them carefully, but don't panic if some of it seems a bit daunting. Okay, but let's give this a go. So it says calculate giving reasons the size of FEH. Okay, so we're trying to work out the size of angle FEH. Now, looking back at the blurb, it's told us that O is the center and FH is the diameter. So hopefully you're thinking, if we have a diameter and it subtends an angle onto the circumference, because we've been practicing our theorems, then that angle is 90. Okay, so diameter subtends 90. Awesome, I'm feeling pretty confident about that one. Now, I have to choose my reason. See, Siyavula exam prep, a little bit easier than maybe your exam itself, because you're just choosing the options. But it's still really helpful for learning. I also just wanted to say this is a useful way to learn the exact reasons that you need to use, because it's in your exam guidelines that you need to use the specific abbreviations, and the examiners can be quite strict about that. So make sure that if you are using the abbreviations, you're using the ones in your exam guidelines, and not just any short version that you like. So sometimes that does require just learning what's expected. So let's have a look here. We're trying to find the reason for this. I can't really remember, but this one sounds about right. Chord subtends 90. Seems right. Talking about angle of 90. Let's see. Okay, cool. So that's FEH. Then it says, and in an exam now, I would normally draw a 90 over here because we have that. Then it wants us to work out H. So H, this angle here, made by these two chords, or these 2 points. So it comes from E and it goes to F. Now maybe you're starting to remember that another angle that comes from E and goes to F is over here. So the same 2 points are subtending 2 different angles to the circumference. And when that happens, we know those angles are equal. Hopefully you remember that. So that's another theorem. So we know that angle H over here is equal to angle G over there, so H must be 44. Now my reason also, sometimes my teacher used to say butterfly angles, so I'm going to go with that one because it kind of makes like a butterfly shape. That's the idea. I'm not sure about that though, but that's what my teacher calls it. So now we have another angle 44, and now we're going with FOE. So that's the angle here. So when you see that, you should be thinking O is at the center of the circle. So we're talking angle at center. That should remind you of a theorem that says that an angle at the center is equal to double the angle at the circumference. So the circumference angle is 44. Angle from the same points to the center is going to be double that. If you double 44, you get 88. Pretty sure. You can use a calculator if you need to, but hopefully you don't for that one. And that reason is angle at center is 2 times the angle at the circumference. And this is the reason you need to use the abbreviation. Unless you want to write out the whole theorem, that's the abbreviation you need to use. Okay, so let us see what happens. Okay, Siyavula says, are you sure? Take another look. So this is a new feature on Siyavula, where if you make a mistake on a question that has more than one input, then you have another chance, which is cool. So you're not going to get penalized, but I'm not really sure what we did wrong. I thought everything through quite carefully, and I'm not really sure. So I'm actually going to leave them as they are rather than guessing. I know something's wrong, but I don't want to just guess. So let's submit that answer. Oof. Okay, so we got 2 things wrong. So let's see. So now we need to read the solutions. Whoopsie. Read the solutions really carefully to understand where we went wrong. Okay, so the first part, let's see these ticks. We've got a tick and then a cross. So that's for this 90 and then that mistake. So we've got the angle right, but the reason wrong. So it's got a nice diagram here showing the diameter and the angle, which is 90. But then it says the correct reason is angle in a semicircle, which seems a bit weird. But there's actually something over here that says we have to be really careful about choosing the right reason. And if we know that a chord is a diameter, then the correct theorem to prove that an angle is 90 is angle in a semicircle. And that's just something that you have to learn and remember, that that's the reason that you need. we chose chord subtends 90 as the reason, but actually, according to this information, when we know that the angle is 90, okay, if we're told that the angle is 90, then we use that theorem, abbreviated to chord subtends 90, to prove that the chord is a diameter. So we weren't proving that the chord was a diameter here, we were proving the angle, so we use angle in a semicircle as our reason. So this is something you need to learn and remember, add it to your notes, give it a highlight at this point in time, and hopefully we'll get it right on the try again. Okay, so the next part, find angle H. Okay, we got H, it was 44, that was great. Then we said butterfly angles. We were supposed to say angles in same segment. Okay, so this is something, another reminder that we need to use the formal reasons that are accepted and not informal ones that we might discuss in class. So angles in the same segment is the correct reason to use there. We can see our diagram. It does look like a butterfly, but that's not the reason we're supposed to give. We're supposed to see the angles being subtended by the same 2 points to the circumference. Okay, and then finally the last one. Again, we got the angle right. Oh no, we got the last one completely right, angle and a reason. And we can see a nice diagram here showing angle at center and angle at circumference. Okay, so I actually learned quite a lot there while we were at it. And now hopefully you're really wanting to give that another go to see what the question looks like, and to also apply those newfound knowledge and skills to the same kind of question. So let's do that. So we're going to try the exercise again. Okay, we can see that it's a similar kind of diagram. And we have O, the center of the circle, we have a diameter, and we have the angle there and similar information about the lines that are drawn. And again now, we have to calculate BAD. So angle BAD, and we were told that BD is a diameter, and we can see that because it passes through the center. So we know this one from last time. This one's not too bad. We know that that one is 90. But now, even though this seems like it says 90 even in it, but it's not the correct abbreviation. The correct reason is angle in a semicircle. So we learned that from last time, hopefully. And we're going to get it right this time. Now it wants... this one is very similar. So the interesting thing about Siyavula, there's actually a lot of different examples of this question, and now we've just happened to get two that are actually quite similar, but let's enjoy it, I guess. So this one is 50 at angle C, and we want to know angle D over here. So hopefully you guys can recognize angles subtended from the same 2 points to the circumference over there. If this one is 50, then angle D is also 50. And again, we learned that even though butterfly angle sounds nice, it's not actually an accepted reason. So we're going to have to say angles in the same segment. And again, in the same way for this one, we have BOA at the center. So the last question is asking for angle BOA, BOA at the center, and at the circumference, BCA is subtended, so the angle at the center must be double, so it must be 100, and the reason is angle at center. Okay, let's see. Yes, booyah, correct. We nailed that one, guys. So we learned from last time the correct reasons to use. Hopefully this diagram looks a little bit different, so we can apply those same skills so that we can see our progress, our learning progress from last time already to this time. Okay, so we've tried again, we've looked at our solutions, tried again. This question, this exam question, is only one part. So there's actually only one bit in this question. So now if we go back to our dashboard, we will already be able to see, so it was in this paper, an updated mark here. So this mark is based on the last 3 attempts of the question. It's not only the last time that you tried, so it's trying to give you an accurate reflection of how you've done. But as long as you do better than last time, that mark is going to come up. So that's pretty good for your first try of Euclidean geometry to be on 56%, but you can keep working on it, go back, do it again, and get it up to that mark that you were looking for. Okay, so before we wrap up, I just want to talk about where Siyavula practice fits in with other kinds of exam practice and your normal pencil and paper practice that you would be doing. So basically the exam prep cycle fits in really nicely when you are doing each topic. So you practice each main topic, you do your reading and your summarizing, you do your and explaining, you do your distributed practice as you are going, and then you do your exam prep. And this is in the weeks leading up to your exam. So right about now for you guys. And then as you get closer to the actual exam, that's when you get out your past papers, maybe your most recent 2018 past paper, and get to work on that. Maybe under timed conditions, just tidying up your accuracy, making sure that everything is in place. And then obviously if there are areas that need more work, you go back to your exam prep and you carry on working on them there. But they work together. It's not like you do one or the other, but they do work together nicely. And one of the reasons that they work together really nicely, or the good thing about exam prep, is that you have as many questions as you want, because I know a lot of learners actually run out of past papers if they base most of their studying around that. So with the Siyavula exam prep, if you get something wrong, you can learn from it straight away and do it again, a slightly different one, and you never run out of questions. It's also really good for early stage of studying because you have immediate feedback with the detailed solutions that are actually explaining to you how to get it right next time. It also, in an early stage of work, it saves you time by just calculating your results for you, so you don't have to spend a lot of time just marking and adding up marks. And to be honest, probably most of us don't end up doing that. We rather, if we know we've done badly, we don't want to see it. But Siyavula exam prep does that for you, and you can really see how you're doing in each of your topics. And then finally, really important part of exam prep is how it summarizes your average performance so that you can see which topics you're doing well in or which kind of questions you need to work on a little bit more. So I really hope that I've reminded you guys a little bit about Siyavula today, shown you how to use exam prep most effectively, and I wish you all the best for your exams coming up soon.